because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their gilt rings. Right, the bouncers' gilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Andrew McCART, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm here with Jamie Moore, trainer of Chantel Cameron. Now, Jamie, how's she looking, man? She looks calm, cool and collected up there. She feels like she's got no pressure on her, but how cool is she? You've been with her this whole training camp, so how's she feeling right now?
Yeah, like you say, you know, body language speaks for itself. She's relaxed. There's virtually no pressure on her in terms of sort of the venue where it is. Katie's homecoming. The magnitude of the fight, that's a different thing, but in terms of pressure on her shoulders, you know, she's not the favourite for the fight for the first time since she'd become world champion. So yeah, she's in a real good place, really good.
But I think I was talking to a few people in the hotel. I think Wednesday night when we arrived, and we're talking about who do you think wins, and the people were saying Chantel, and then people because she's bigger and whatnot, and Katie because she's got the hand speed. But then we were talking about the little percentages, and a couple of guys were saying that this is Chantel's basically away from home, walking in the ring first, staying in the ring, hearing all that crowd while she's in the ring. I mean, she's cool, calm and collected up on that stage for the weigh-in and the press conference and whatnot, but how do you think she'll feel come that sort of that pressure when the crowd is on her?
Yeah, listen, she's topped the bill at the O2 before. You know, she's been chief support to some big fights. Fought out in Abu Dhabi last time, so she's been a world champion for a couple of years now. And a fight like this, sort of this magnitude, when you've had it in your mind that you want that fight for many years, then you're sort of preparing for yourself from that point in time when you sort of visualise that fight and how it will go. So it's not like it's, even though in terms of the actual fight coming round, it was like, what, 10 weeks from the point of Katie calling her out. It's been going on for years and years before that. Even maybe back to the amateurs where, you know, it was early on in Chantel's amateur career. She got beat off Katie and they never boxed again. But all that in period of time up until she turned pro, she was like, I want to box Katie again because I've improved now since the first time we boxed. She never had the opportunity to do it. So it's such an interesting fight. You know, Katie's over the last couple of years, she's had a couple of fights where she's shown a few vulnerabilities, but I still believe she won those fights and it was close. But my personal opinion is she's never been in the ring with somebody as big, as strong, as good as Chantel, and I think you'll see that tomorrow.
You mentioned them fights that Katie could have won or lost, and you thought that she won, but I think I read somewhere that Chantel said that maybe Katie should have had a couple of losses on her record. Obviously, I don't know. Is that just...
So Chantel watched those fights, like everybody. Some people thought Katie won, some people thought Katie lost. So it's all based on opinion because there was close fights. So I'm just being honest, and I thought I've watched those fights back, obviously, in preparation for this and do my own work. And when I've watched the fights back, I've watched them and thought, you know what, they were close, but I thought Katie just nicked them. So it's just opinion, but I've saw stuff in those fights, what I feel, if Chantel gets Katie in those positions, what those two fighters got her in, she won't let her off the way they did.
You said at the press conference yesterday that to send Chantel Cameron out to try and outbox Katie is just stupid. You've been a coach for a long time, you've been a fighter for a long time, so you've been in the sport for a very, very, very long time. That being said, do you have to go in there and put Katie on her bum, maybe even get the stoppage, and at a home crowd, you know what it's like in boxing, home crowd and all this sort of stuff? Do you need to go in there and put her on a bum and maybe stop her?
I don't want any of us to go into the ring with that mindset. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, because listen, we've seen some horrendous decisions over the last few years. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that not to happen for my fighter, and I don't want that to happen for boxing, because it just leaves a bad taste. So I'll have my faith. I can't control that. The only thing I can control is what Chantel's done in preparation for this fight and the way she can perform, or to my best ability, giving her the instruction. After that, the way the judges decide to score a round is out of my hands. But I live in faith that they do the right thing if and when we become victorious.
I remember I got a little bit with Chantel yesterday, and I said to her, do you remember during the COVID, that was like 2020 or whatnot, and we done a Zoom interview and we were talking about the Katie Taylor fight, and you said you really, really wanted that fight, but you don't think it'll ever happen. Like 3 years later, now look where we are.
Listen,
the universe is one.
It is, and it had to make sense. I understand it, I get it, and maybe I got this fight by Chantel by mistake, because only a week or so before she called her out, I did an interview, and I don't even know who it was with, but I said something along they said Serrano's out of the fight, do you think Chantel will get a call? And I said something like, nah, listen, why would she fight Chantel on a homecoming? It's too risky a fight for that type of fight. I'm pretty sure now she's undisputed, it'll happen, but just not yet. And now fair play to Katie, she called her out and made the fight happen, took the biggest risk in my opinion out there. So you've got to take your hat off to her, but I think she made a mistake.
I want to touch on Jack. He's fighting next week. Regis Prograis signed with Matchroom, WC World Champion. Obviously, he's got another fight on his hands. I think it's Arnold Rosa Jr. I think Paro's out. Obviously, Jack gets through next week. Deserves a world title shot. Deserves another crack at a big fight. Do you think you're interested in that Prograis fight if he comes through in June as well?
Yeah, I'd love that fight for him. I really would. And I think Jack proved in the Taylor fight that he belongs at that level without a doubt. And Prograis. You know, again, watching in the build-up to Jack versus Taylor fight, I watched the Prograis fight with Taylor. It was a very close fight, which could have gone either way. And you know, so Jack, I believe, stylistically, is probably a better match to a style like Prograis than he is for Josh Taylor. So I'd love that fight for him. I really would. I think it's a great fight, and it should be easy to make now that he's with Eddie.
One final one then. Saturday night's just tomorrow, 24 hours away. What's going to happen?
Yep, Chantel Cameron comes out, still champion, still undisputed champion, with an emphatic performance.
Listen, Jamie, thank you so much, mate, and good luck tomorrow, mate. Thank you.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.